Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Brothers on the Board, the podcast where we help teachers find peace and fulfillment in their careers. My name is John. This is my brother, Wes. And today we are talking about, I would say, something that is on teachers' minds at least a little bit since late last year, and that is artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. So, Wes, I got to ask you: Are we getting replaced?
I don't think that we are necessarily getting replaced. But I mean, there's definitely some concern. I feel like from colleagues I've talked to and a lot of people that it's changing, and I think AI is changing a lot of industries. As far as replacing teachers, you're not going to get the human aspect of it. So I definitely don't think we're getting replaced, but I definitely think it's making some changes.
I ain't gonna lie. I think I'm the only guy rooting for it. I'm rooting for the robots at this point because I want to see a robot argue with a 12-year-old. I'm ready for that. I'm ready to see a robot argue with a 12-year-old that they've been to the bathroom 6 times in the last hour and that they can't go again.
It's right? It's not in the programming, right? Yeah.
I want to see it issue a consequence just by way of like ticket. It's like calculating. Went to bathroom 45 minutes ago. No, and like a little ticket comes out. It's just like an after school or something. Like I'm ready for this. But no, jokes aside, I think that like what you were saying is pretty spot on in terms of obviously the human element of teaching. Obviously, the biggest concern I think some people may have is like, will it go fully remote? We saw that with the pandemic and a lot of schools going fully remote. And I think there was people at the time asking like, why couldn't a robot just do this? Why couldn't a robot just, talk about curriculum or whatever it is, right? I think that's definitely something that is a concern, or at least it's on people's minds. But more realistically, the conversation today is dealing with how can we embrace artificial intelligence in the classroom? Because let's face it, it's not going anywhere. Right? Like it's not just going to disappear. This is an industry that is just now beginning to take off. And we know how technology expands. It's exponential and it's going to keep going in that direction. So it's something that as educators, we can kind of fight it, and try to just pretend it doesn't exist. Or we can try to find ways to embrace it and use it for good in the classroom.
Absolutely. I agree. And I'm on board with that too, where I've even already started using it a little bit in the classroom, played around with it a little bit. And I definitely think there's some things that it can provide, quality of life things for teachers that is going to make planning and carrying out your day-to-day stuff just so much better. So I definitely think that there's a good potential for it in the classroom. It's just, a matter of learning about it and figuring it out, just like any other piece of technology or any other, curriculum or program that we use.
And we know that there's cons associated with it, right? Like we know that students are going to use it to try to write their papers for them. We know that they're going to try to turn in assignments like that. I've already caught a couple this year who's tried to just copy and paste things from ChatGPT. And, this kid, I pull him out in the hallway and I'm like, hey man, like you use ChatGPT for this because it was written way too good, like better than anything I'd written all year or had read all year. And he's like, no, I didn't do it. I didn't write that with him. Well, okay. And then there was a bunch of big words used in this document. And I looked at him and I pointed at one of the words. I said, what's this word mean? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, you used it. And he's like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, exactly.
But I tried to explain to him, and this is something that I'm going to talk about in a minute, but like, dude, I can handle being wrong. I don't care if you're wrong. If you try, you give me your all and you're wrong, I can fix wrong. Now, that's what I do. That's what we're here for. But if you just have it write your stuff for you, now you're not gaining anything from the productive struggle of trying to learn, right? Of trying to be successful. So there are definitely ways that I think that we can teach students how to use these tools appropriately.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I feel like it's no different than copying and pasting. I mean, I guess it's a little bit more difficult to detect, but it's no different to me than just copying and pasting from a bunch of different sources. So,
Yeah, and we've seen that forever, right? Like, this is not a whole lot different than like when cell phones really first started coming around, and then it's like, oh no, they can Google all their answers, right? Like we've kind of got over that at this point. We're just like, Google's a thing, we need to find ways to use it to research and to do these things, but it's no different. It's on a whole new level. Right, it's like you're not just looking at multiple choice answers now. Like you're having entire essays generated for you. But there's definitely ways that I think we can use artificial intelligence in the classroom and do it in a way that makes sense and is beneficial to everyone. So we have asked, Wes and I, we have asked each other to come up with a couple of ways that we can use ChatGPT or some mindsets that we can have about it, one way or the other, to try to hopefully help each other in the classroom or to help our students in the classroom. So, as always, Wes, I'm going to let you go first, and you're going to hit me with that first one. What is one way that you can use ChatGPT or artificial intelligence in your subject area or just any subject area to be beneficial?
So one way that I use it, actually, this isn't in a subject area necessarily, but I use it a lot to write emails for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay.
It, especially if you're like sick and that last minute you call in sick and you have to get sub plans together. It is very good at quickly writing a very well written email when you're not feeling great. And I've had coworkers before be like, "That wasn't you, was it?" And I'm like, "No, it wasn't my email."
Just to make sure we're clear, these are emails that you're sending to your colleagues about sub plans, correct? This is not like write me an email to the principal telling them how sick I am.
No. It is the plan for my classroom for that day. So I have planned out what we're going to do that day, the activities and everything like that. It's just it condenses it super quickly into an email so that I'm not having to rephrase and gather all those thoughts when I'm not feeling great. And I've done this 2 or 3 times now. And it works out really well. And you can obviously, for those of you that have used ChatGPT before, you can have it reword stuff and rephrase stuff. So I'll be like, add a 10-minute timer to that part of the assignment or whatever, and it'll do it. So, it's just good at communicating emails. And I'll also do it for emails. Like if I'm wanting to write a professionally worded email to, parents, right? Talking about field trips coming up or any kind of information I want to send out, it'll do that too. And of course I can edit it and change it however I need to and make it my own. But that is one way that I have found that has saved me a lot of time because I'm pretty big on parent communication. So I'm always reaching out to parents and sending emails, weekly updates, things like that. So,
and this is something that really ChatGPT, it's really where it shines, right? It's a time saver in that it helps people like teachers who have, we wear a lot of hats, and it helps, take a couple of those hats away just a little bit. So yeah, that's a good one. I think anytime that you're able to automate any kind of part of your job is a good thing. I will say that some people probably disagree with that idea of jobs being automated, obviously, but definitely with us and our career, we definitely want to try to make things as easy as possible. So for me, and I'm going to go ahead, I guess, and give my first one here. I think it's important that when it comes to ChatGPT or artificial intelligence, I think it's important that students understand that it's okay to fail. Now, so let me explain why I think that. So when I had this student that I mentioned before, when he did this, and he's not the only one. There's been multiple kids that's done it. But I asked him, like, okay, why'd you do this for, man? Like, why didn't you just write this yourself? Like, what is it? And he said, well, I wasn't entirely sure what I needed to do, and I was just afraid of doing poorly, right? So students need to understand, they need to be comfortable, and I hate to say comfortable with failing, but they need to understand that that's how you learn, right? You mess up, you make mistakes, and that's okay, right? Because at the end of the day, why is a student going to use something like ChatGPT to write their essay for them or do their homework for them or something like that? They're going to do it because of a couple of reasons. Maybe they have a fear of failure, right? Maybe the content is just, they see it as being too difficult. And maybe it's just a case of apathy, which, you're going to have that. But I think trying to find ways to solve those underlying causes as to why they would do it in the first place goes a long way into helping them learn how to use the software, to use it responsibly in a way that is beneficial to them, more so than just a get out of jail free card on work. So what do you think about that?
So I actually had this thought a moment ago when you first told the story about the student, and I was holding off on it, but I was going to ask you this: how do you feel about the student using it as an example?
I think, okay, so as an example essay for the same prompt, like, is he going to turn in the same assignment, or
no, like how to, like, write me an essay using a different prompt, right? But seeing how it's structured, things like that.
Oh, no. I think that's perfectly fine. Right. So here's the thing. Using it as a way of educating yourself is completely different than saying, write me an essay on whatever prompt I asked for, and they don't even read it. They copy, they paste, they hit submit.
Yeah.
Right.
Write me an essay on Benjamin Franklin, and they know nothing about Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, like they just use it, like they just copy and paste,
Yeah.
right? They don't, it's not being used as a way of learning anything, right? But if, let's say that you wrote your essay, even if it wasn't good, right? And you used it as a way of submitting it to ChatGPT and saying, what could I do to improve on it? And it gives you suggestions. Like, I'm all for that, right? If it's giving you suggestions or things for you to consider, so that, because ultimately at the end of the day, that's what we want them to do, right? We want them to consider what they're doing wrong and find ways to fix it or find ways to improve. That's the whole goal, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. It's just a matter of, I know that some people will say, well, I mean, if they're cheating, they're at least they're learning, right? They copy an answer, they got the answer. It's not a good way, but in this situation, it's not even getting the answer. They're literally right clicking, copy, and then paste, and they're not even reading it, right? They don't gain anything from it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But I think that teaching them that it's okay to be wrong is a step in the right direction, and getting them to, try it for themselves before turning to technology to have it just answer it for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, and I do feel like at least in my district and from my experiences, I feel like building up student stamina has been a big focal point and still a very big challenge. Right? I think coming off of the pandemic, obviously, and the use of technology in the classroom has kind of gotten to where that they give up pretty quick, and they look for those easy outs, right?
It's funny because Amelia, my wife, for people listening that don't know who Amelia is, but Amelia and I were talking the other day, and she says, now she's big TikTok, always watching TikTok, and she says that she can notice a difference in her own attention span after having viewed TikTok for the last couple of years, when she's watching Netflix or something else, she has a hard time paying attention to longer form media than because she's so used to seeing these tiny little snippets, right? So you have things like that. Plus you have the pandemic. Plus you have this constant need to be entertained. And I think that you and I fall into that category as well, like growing up in a digital age where you're never okay with just being bored, right? And you're right. Students test, well, I hate to say testing stamina, but that's kind of the same thing. That's where we're at. Is stamina for students it's hard, right? They really struggle to maintain focus and work on something for an extended period of time.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I definitely think using ChatGPT in a way that is more, like you said, productive and more beneficial to their education rather than using it as a crutch is definitely the key to using it in the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. So now where are we at? Have you done your second one?
No, I'm on my second one now. Yeah.
You on your second one now. Hit me with it.
Yeah, we lost track of time there. Got off a little bit.
Well, you elaborated on mine. I wasn't sure if that was
no.
I was like, did we just perfectly go into it? Okay, go ahead.
So my second one is to use it to create like fun activities. Obviously I'm not using it as an out, kind of like how students would use it. But definitely like things that I would normally not create on my own, like escape rooms, which are kind of big, elaborate things. It will do that very, very effectively, obviously with a little bit of input from you and a little bit of changing it. You're the professional, right? You're still using your the skill set you have and providing and adding to that activity. It's not making the activity for you, but it's helping you get the skeleton of it, right? And get some of the pieces that you may not want to take the time. Again, mine's a big time saver thing. So fun activities like that. I've had it make an escape room before for me. I've never actually used it in the classroom because I don't think I haven't gotten that far with it yet, but I've definitely played around with it a little bit, and it will do it. So,
now that you mention this, like having it develop curriculum for you to some degree, or at least give you a skeleton or an outline for what you want. Do you think that our friends over at Teachers Pay Teachers, some of the content creators there, do you think that they've taken a hit financially in the last year or two from the emergence of ChatGPT?
I would say probably.
I don't see how they couldn't have, right? Because it's pretty robust in what it's able to do, right?
Absolutely.
It's not artsy, right? So that may be part of like what a lot of people, especially like, elementary people, want to go to like Teachers Pay Teachers, like for the little like artsy type assignments. So maybe that keeps people kind of over there, but I do feel like it has to be reaching into the pockets of some people over there.
I would say so. I mean, I know that who was it? Is it Quizlet? Or one of those programs has just recently came out with an AI Pro membership where it will take like test bank questions and change them.
Yeah, it's adapt or die, right? A lot of these companies that have curriculum creation software or services, like it's like we have to find a way to implement this and use it ourselves, or else we're going to get I'd say replaced or just put out of business or whatever. I mean, that's really what it is, right? You have to find a way to make it work for you, for sure. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that having ChatGPT create skeletons for assignments, or at least get an idea of what you want to do, or just idea generation in general, it's really good for those kinds of things. So yeah, absolutely. And now that you mentioned escape room, now I'm sitting here in my head thinking, like, while you were talking about it, man, I could do that, do like a murder mystery type thing, like providing evidence, using evidence, finding reasoning, all that kind of stuff. Now the wheels are turning. Anyways, my second one and the last one that we are going to do, for all of actually not just English teachers, all teachers in general, there are a lot of teachers I have seen at least at my building, and I'm sure that this is the case in a lot of places, where you have subject areas like social studies, science, math, other subjects outside of English, and those teachers are being asked to assign more writing and to assess more writing. And for a lot of those teachers, they're not crazy comfortable assigning, grading, or assessing writing. So I think ChatGPT is a good opportunity to kind of, I don't want to say rely on it, but it can help you assess graded work, right? So one thing that you can do, like let's say your building uses a common rubric, right? You can upload that rubric to ChatGPT, and then you can just copy, paste the essay in, and then have it grade it for you. And it can do it. Now, I will say this, at this point, based on what I've seen, I personally wouldn't use it to assign a grade for my students, just because I have put in the same essay multiple times before, and I've seen it spit out multiple different scores. I don't know how incredibly consistent it is with a numerical value, but it does provide some relatively good feedback for students to consider, right? So if this was something that you're like, well, you're getting a score for just doing your best, but then at the same time, I'm giving you constructive criticism or feedback on what you can do better, I think this is something that's actually pretty good. Or if you're wanting to just grade it and give it a point value yourself, but then at least have the students do it themselves. Have the students copy and paste the rubric in, and then copy and paste their own essay in and see what it tells them. I think that there's a lot of opportunity here. There's a big opportunity for teachers to kind of use it as if it's a teacher's aid, as if it's someone else in the classroom that can kind of help give feedback. Because let's face it, when you have 30 kids in a room and you're doing an assignment, over the course of all day, you'll have like 100 kids. You have 100 kids, you're trying to give feedback to those 100 kids every single day. It takes a lot of time and it's very difficult. And unfortunately, sometimes assignments slip through the cracks. You're not able to provide the feedback that you want to provide. So I think that this is a good opportunity for that. Thoughts?
So I completely agree with that, with your feedback on my, we're on mine still, right? I've lost track of, or did you give me your number two?
No. I gave you my number two. I said we're using it as like teacher's aid for feedback.
Teachers. Okay. So you just transitioned right in there.
Just swung right in there.
Yeah, I completely agree. Using it like we've said the whole video, and I feel like I'm repeating myself. It's kind of a little redundant at this point, but just using it to help you and make your life easier, right? And maybe remove just a few of those hats that you're wearing all the time. And it's not completely taken away from what you do, right? It's not taking away anything from the profession. You're still the professional. You're still providing it the input it needs to make the things it's making. I don't think you're going anywhere, right? I just think that it is a tool that we can use, to now plan even better, more rigorous lessons quicker. So I believe I'm pro as well. So, and I think that might be unpopular opinion still, but
I'm sure that there's plenty of people who will disagree. And by all means, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on a podcast that has the ability to comment, please comment. Talk to us about this. We would love to hear what you have to say, and we will respond. Trust me, we're excited to have these conversations with other educators. But just to kind of add on to one last thing that you said there that I think is important is you're not taking anything away from yourself professionally by using this, right? This is not a way or a reason that you should feel bad about yourself for using technology, because I mean this is reality, right? This is the way of the future. This is the direction it's going. Like, how can we use this as a tool that we can hopefully make things better for our students? You know, that's kind of the ultimate goal. So I think that this is an interesting topic that we will definitely probably continue in the future, but we have reached our limit now. So I am going to ask everyone, please, if you're watching this, if you're listening, like I said a minute ago, we would love to hear what you have to say. Please consider commenting. Please like on whatever platform you're listening on. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that big, beautiful red subscribe button that I hear people talk about all the time. And we will see you guys next time on episode 3 of Brothers on the Board.